Euclid of Alexandria is thought to have been born in 330 BC and died sometime in 260 BC, which makes him roughly 70 years at the age of death. He is thought to have been born in Alexandria, and his birthplace is added after his name to distinguish from other learned men named Euclid alive in the same time period. Most sources agree that he gained education from Plato's students, and then he went to pass these teachings to others in Egypt, which was under the rule of Ptolemy I. His main work, Elements, is thought to be the most translated, published, and studied book in the Western world and has been used to teach mathematics up until early 20th century, and even now parts of it are still used, such as the Euclidean algorithm. This shows a legacy that many would envy and leads Euclid to be thought of as the most leading mathematics teacher of all time. Many distinguished figures throughout history have used Euclid's work as inspiration, such as Newton and Abraham Lincoln, who was always seen to carry a copy of Elements with him so as to quote on the genius within. Two famous quotes said by Euclid are, "There is no royal road to geometry, and the laws of nature are but the mathematical
Thoughts of God.
Euclid had a great impact on mathematics and has shaped the way we are taught the theories of geometry in school. Euclid was known as the father of geometry for his work in the subject. He produced a major work known as Elements, which consisted of 13 books which were centered around geometry. In this work, he collected and logically compiled the work of many other mathematicians, such as Pythagoras and Hippocrates, into a consistent whole. Elements was the most comprehensive and thorough work in regards to geometry, and this geometry later became known as Euclidean geometry. Euclidean geometry is the standard geometry that is still taught in schools today and has remained prominent for over 2,000 years. His work wasn't only based on geometry, it included other theorems and proofs, such as the proof that there are infinitely many prime numbers. These theories and proofs were less prominent than his work on geometry, but they still have a significant impact on the way we learn maths today.
The title of the father of geometry is well deserved for Euclid due to his heavy impact on the world of mathematics. Great philosophers of the 17th century, architects, surveyors, all mathematicians in their own right have used Euclidean geometry to design, gather information, create magnificent structures and bend light, to name a few. Building on this, some use Euclid's methods directly, such as how surveyors use the right angle property, distances and angles to determine land size and measurements. Some have built on his ideas even in recent centuries, such as how Ludwig von Mises wrote about economics using Euclid's axiomatic method, a system that is consistent and lacking contradiction. Only in recent centuries, mathematicians have developed non-Euclidean geometry. For example, according to Einstein's theory of general relativity, true spacetime is not Euclidean geometry. Euclid's legacy lives on in modern mathematics as a foundation and is well known by all mathematicians today.
Euclid's main body of work consisted of 13 volumes, covering a range of fields. He made many basic statements in these volumes that are still used today as fundamental definitions, such as the definition of a point as that which has no part, and a line as a length without breadth. These serve as the fundamental principles upon which plane geometry is based, and are still used today. In addition to these axioms, Euclid also dedicated much of his life to proving the properties of geometric shapes. These proofs have stood the test of time and are still taught in classrooms around the world, forming the basis for many fundamental geometric properties still used in modern mathematics. More important than his proofs and assumptions, however, were his logical methods. Much of his book is merely a compilation of previous work, such as the Pythagorean theorem. But it was his structure and logic that set his book above its predecessors, and these methods continued well past his death. Before his time, proofs were disorganized and illogical, but Euclid changed that, and the entire field of modern geometric proofs has been based on his ideas.